Okay, good morning. This is going to be my presentation, micro teaching demonstration for an earth science class for ninth graders. And the subject is rock cycle. I will be presenting the beginning of the class where we're going over some board work, and it'll show off some of the Pear Deck slides. And then I will be skipping to my end of the PowerPoint because it's basically the same going through what they're learning in science, and since we're showcasing the various technology, that will not be necessary to show, but I'll be skipping to the end, showing off a little bit more of the different Pear Deck slides that I would have them do, and then concluding, and you'll be seeing me do that. Okay, so getting into it. Good morning, class. This is the rock cycle today that we're doing, and let's get started with your board work. So if you could please go on to the Pear Deck slide on your Chromebooks there, and please write down the 3 things that you can remember about each type of rock, and that would be the igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary. Yes, and because you're writing 3 things about each rock, I would like to see 9 things on your board work today as you show me on your Pear Deck slide there. So I'll be waiting for your response. Okay, looks like I've got all your responses. And let's move on to what today's class is going to be about. Thank you for your responses, class. So today we are going over what the objective is, and then a little bit of an overview, a little summary from yesterday, and then we'll go into each individual rock life cycle and make sure you're paying attention for these ones, and then we'll be putting the rock cycle together and you'll be able to see the big picture of it. Then we'll wrap up and you guys will have the rest of the class period to create your own model. It's going to be super exciting, and we'll get into that more later on. So, our learning objective today is very much about that model later on. You'll be able to understand the rock cycle by constructing your own model of it, and you'll get to use whatever medium you would like to do. Remember, medium is just the way that you want to present it, either by paper or using some resource online. So, quick overview from yesterday. As you remember from your board work, you have the igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and metamorphous rocks. And we went into how the different types and different ways that these are formed and what they look like. So, remember the igneous rocks, they're formed through the cooling solidification of magma or lava. And remember, you can have extrusive or intrusive igneous rocks, depending on where they're formed, either on the outside or inside of the Earth's crust. Now, the sedimentary rocks, remember, class, how they're formed through, you accumulate all the material and it's deposited and then it's cemented all together to make that sedimentary rock. The metamorphous rock, remember, heat and pressure. That is the key feature of the metamorphous rock. It takes an existing rock, turns it into a new one with intense pressure. Now, this is the overview of the rock cycle. And now going into what the end of the class would look like. We would end with this slide going over how they all fit together. So that's what we're doing now. Okay, class, so we've gone over the different types of different cycles of the rocks, looking into more in depth. Now this is the overview. Now you see here, we can kind of start from, we have a mountain here. We can say this is like a mountain in California or something, since we have the ocean down here. And the surface will break down, and it'll weather, and it's erosion, it goes into the sea. And then you've got the sediments down here. You see the sediments, they go down, and then they get through the, you got all of them conglomerate, they stick together, they form their rocks, and then you have the sedimentary rock. Now it gets buried, comes a metamorphic rock through the pressure, and it could, at this point, you see how the sedimentary rock could also rise back to the surface and then go through its own life cycle again. And the same can happen with the metamorphic rock. It can also rise very, very slowly, you understand, back up to the surface and could break down again and become sedimentary and then metamorphic again. Or it could encounter some magma, and through the igneous rock, it can become crystallized and igneous. And this is how they can all fit together. So you got that written down, yes? Okay, so this is just kind of an overview, and you guys will be looking at this. This is also in your books, and there's more details there. And I just want you to think about today's lesson on a whole as we just kind of wrap up here before you go on to your model. And if you could draw or type 2 things that you learned in today's lesson, just 2 things. And it doesn't have to be super lengthy, but just to reflect on what you learned and draw and type out what you would like on the slide anywhere. I will wait for you to do that. All right, looks like you're all done. And that is the rock cycle. Now, for your model of the rock cycle, you get to pick your mediums for this. And remember how we went over Drawio? It has a lot of diagrams already made for you. And I'm sure there's one that you could find that you can just type in everything you want. And if you would like to use that one, you can. And you could also use paper and colored pencils and markers, or if you have a drawing program on your tablet at home that you would like to use, like Apple Pen or something, that is totally great as well. That's what I did up here. This is my model of it, and I drew this all out. So if you want to do that, you can. Or you can get on Canva and create an infographic. Remember us going over how to use that as well. So that's another option. Or you can get creative. If you want to go home and paint it, you can do that as well. I would highly recommend that you start it in class today. So maybe that's not the best way, but I do have some materials like cardboard. If you want to make like a 3D model of it, you're more than welcome to do that. And yeah, so you decide what you would want to do. And then on this slide, you need to write your response, and that'll be letting me know what you have chosen to do for your medium. I will write that down on my end so that I know what you're doing. And then you get to work on it right away. Since you have your Chromebooks in front of you, you can start on those programs if you want to do online. And then paper, color pencils. You've got the materials here. We know the drill. So that is it for today, and I'll be walking around answering any questions that you have while you get started. Thank you, class.